Good afternoon, everyone. This is İskit, and you are watching What's New, What's News. Yes, recently we witnessed a really bad incident in Russia, actually, and four gunmen attacked a shopping mall in Russia, and almost 143 people killed, many of injured. We will discuss this with former diplomat Engin Solakoğlu today. Let me invite him. Welcome, Mr. Solakoğlu. Thanks for joining us today's discussions. How are you?
Fine, thanks, and thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome, and thank you for sparing your time with me, with us. It is a pleasure for us. Well, we have a lot to talk today because we basically witnessed another terrorist attack, which was affiliated with ISIS. At the end, we found out, but there are many discussions about that, and it seems like a little bit controversial as well. So today I would like to speak about this subject with you, and also I would like to say, my subscribers, you can, if you have any questions related to this discussion, please drop your message to the chat box so we will be able to see and answer your questions. Let's start then, Mr. Solakoğlu. First of all, why this attack has happened in Russia? Because it is a little bit extraordinary for Russia to, experience such incident like that. What is the reason for you?
Thank you very much. And I think it's yes, maybe compared to other countries, it's rare that kind of attacks happen in Russia, but it happens. Since the Chechen War and since the Afghan War, as a matter of fact, Russia has been one of the targets of the jihadist terrorism. So regardless of the name of the organization, it could be whether Al-Qaeda or mainly Caucasian organization or ISIS, etc. Russia is a target. So it happens rarely, but it happens. So and at that stage, why it has happened in Moscow and such a bloody incident and bloody attack. So there are mostly three main storylines, three main assumptions with regard to that. And the first one is about the ISIS targeting Russia because there are reasons in Syria, there are reasons arising from the history, Afghanistan, etc. So it's a normal thing that ISIS targets Russia. So this is the first assumption. The second assumption is that that's what Russia says, is that ISIS has carried out this attack, but it has been manipulated or used or misused by a Western secret organization and for the benefit of the Ukrainians. And Ukrainians and their Western allies have organized this attack using ISIS. This is the second assumption. And the third assumption is it's a mainly Western comment of the incident, is saying that Putin has made it himself so he can have more legitimacy in order to continue the war against Ukraine, in order to convince his people that they are in danger, etc., etc. So the third one is a very common one, as far as I know. It has been said in Bataclan in France. It has been said in the 9/11 in US. And so, frankly, after 30 years of diplomacy, I have difficulties to believe that these big plot theories and countries organizing killer events like these terrorist attacks against themselves. So
Mhm.
it can happen, but it should be very carefully observed, carefully, how can I say, substantiated in order to be, in order to convince people. So the third assumption, in my opinion, is not very convincing. The second one, is that the Western intelligence agencies. So, in order to to give a blow to Russia, who is more or less now, who seems to be winning the war against Ukraine. So they have organized this, and at the same time, they wanted to say to the Russian people that you are not safe. You cannot be safe under this Putin regime. So you have to change this regime, etc. And we are still seeing, I'm following the Western, let's say, news outlets. They say there is a huge mistakes by the FSB, the US, the Russian security agencies, etc. They didn't work well. So they are weak. They don't do well their jobs, etc. So it's a kind of psychological warfare, saying that Russia is not good enough to deal with these things because the regime is not enough. But when you think about, so that's what Putin also says, saying that they have organized this, they have helped these ISIS related or ISIS linked people to make this terrorist attack. And it's very convenient for Russia also, saying that not a bunch of birded people organized this, but a superior intelligence has made it. Every country, without exception, prefer this kind of definition in order to say, yeah, we can do everything, but when the organization is so complicated, of course, we can make mistakes. So it's very useful for Putin also to say that. The second part of it is that saying that Ukraine has made it, of course, that's an additional motivation for Putin and its people, its army, to continue this war against Ukraine. Because I'm sure that, yes, please.
I was going to ask you that one actually. Is there any possibility for Ukraine backed in this such attack against Russia? Because there are some discussions about it, and everyone saying that there is a slightly chance of doing this way, that Ukraine and US actually might be backed in this terror attack. Is there any possibility doing that?
Yes, of course, because everything is possible in the international relations, and when there is a war like that, because you know that the Western side, also the Russian side, present that war, how can I say, a very important war. So West against Russia, it's not about Ukraine only, or Russia against Ukraine. So Russia's existence is at stake, or the Western values are at stake. So this is a very important war to win. That's what Macron says, and that's what Germans says sometimes. We cannot let Russia win. So if you cannot let Russia win, you can use every possible mean in order to stop them. But so we know that these Western intelligence agencies have been in contact with various, not only ISIS, but with various jihadist groups. So this is a fact. And this is another fact, is that in Ukraine, actually, there are Islamist troops, there are jihadists who are fighting along with Ukrainian forces against Russia. And they are paid for it, and they are also willing to do it. So they are, because against Russia. So there is such realities. But if you take these like Lego parts, these two, and add one another, it's very easy to convince some of the public opinion that the US and Ukraine has organized this against Russia. But I'm not sure that it is so simple. First of all, I'm thinking about the possible outcome of such a terrorist attack. Because if you are so bright, so intelligent, and so you organize something so sophisticated, you have to expect an outcome which will be benefit to you, which will change the course of war, for example, or which will weaken Russia so importantly that it would change the outcome of the war, etc. So when you see that attack and the outcome, yes, 143 people killed, very close to the center of the Moscow. Of course, it's a blow to the self-respect of the Russian state, but that's all. So it is not changing the outcome of anything. Because if you want to organize something that big, that's important, for example, you can organize a bombed attack to an arsenal in Moscow, or let's say a rocket installment, etc. So it can really weaken economically or militarily Russia. But that kind of attack serves only to consolidate Putin's power and give him the possibility to say that his people that you see, we are under attack, so you should give me more power, or I should conserve my power in order to defend better my country. It is the same thing in Turkey also. You know, when there's some problem in the Turkish regime, you see a bomb attack in İstiklal Caddesi or somewhere, and everybody says, yeah, we are against the terror, and we are with the government, etc. So this kind of game, I will say, plot, will not serve the West interest, in my opinion. That's why I have difficulty to believe that it's 100% Western organization against Russia. So the third assumption, which I find more close to my convictions, is an ISIS Khorasan group action. Maybe their action have been motivated or facilitated by some Western services. But the idea of killing Russians in Russia, in Moscow, could be something very attractive to that ISIS people, ISIS Khorasan people, mostly formed of Central Asian Islamists, like Tajiks, Uzbeks, some Afghans, etc. These people are thinking that they are doing something very good for their religion, for themselves, when they kill Russians. So that's the evil par excellence. So that's why it's not difficult to convince them to carry out such an attack. And I think that this attack have been not organized, but more or less facilitated by some Western agencies, and also for the escape plan, like Russia says, for the escape plan after the attack, they have been given some clues, like the possible routes to follow, etc., by these agencies.
May I ask a question just for that, actually?
Of course. We are here for that.
The route was, as far as I know, the route was actually going to Ukraine. This is another question mark. People are saying that that's why this is Ukraine-backed attack. But however, we know that during the war times, or during some disastrous times, actually all kind of suspicious people prefer to run away. Such countries like that, which are struggling with the conflict or any war, any disastrous conditions. So do you think that either Ukraine or US supported that route running away to Ukraine or
Yeah,
not?
but there is a good reason for that. I get your question. I think, and there is a good reason because normally, yes, of course, you would want to avoid a country in a war when you escape. But there is another thing. The other Western neighbor of Russia is Belarus.
Yes.
Belarus. And so it is a very close country to Russia. So if you are catched there, it's sure that you will be given back to Russia. So it's not a choice. The only really enemy country, and rightly so, because Ukraine is in a war with Russia, and an enemy country that can let you through their lines in that case would be Ukraine. So it's more or less logical to choose Ukraine because in the other parts, and don't forget the Russian geography. Moscow is very close to the western borders of Russia. So the east is very far away and the country is very big. So you cannot run somewhere else. Even the south is far away. So when you have two choices, too close, Belarus and Ukraine, it's normal that you choose. All these are assumptions. So, but these are assumptions that make sense in a sense. I say. So my thinking is that you have an incredible pool of jihadists in the world. Now, since the Afghan war, since the Soviets' intervention in Afghanistan, this jihadist pool is getting bigger. You have hundred thousands of armed men, some of them very experienced. And we know that these, for example, ISIS, Khorasan people have been trained either in Afghanistan or somewhere else, or Idlib, most probably. So they are ready to carry out these attacks. If you convince them, they can do it in Paris also, or Belgium. That's why saying that these Islamist terrorists or jihadists are only carrying attacks when the Western imperialism, I say, wants, it's too simple and it's not reflecting the reality. You can use them to carry out attacks anywhere in the world. It can be Turkey, Belgium, because they are ready to it. These guys have a different state of mind and they have a different struggle. They can carry out attacks against Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Muslim countries. So this is a pool, but these pools have been created and let's say and got bigger because of the imperialistic interventions in that region. That's a fact. But we cannot connect every single attack, jihadist attack, to a Western mastermind or Eastern mastermind, etc. They have their own minds. We don't have to. We have to. We have not. We don't have to forget that.
Well, I have another question. Speaking about ISIS Khorasan part of this terrorist organization, four suspicious were arrested in Russia, and one is coming from Tajikistan, and there are some claims that he came to Russia through Turkey, and also there are some claims that he might have a training in Turkey. This is another, of course, allegation. How possible this could affect Turkey and Russia relations on the international affairs, and also how Russia will react if something is certain on that matter?
As far as I see, there are two Tajik militants related to Turkey. So one, I think the first one has stayed 1 month or so, the second one 10 days or so in Turkey before this assault. But it's a fact that Turkey has become a passage point and sometimes a resembling points of these Islamist or jihadist terrorists. Not only ISIS, but many more organizations. Why? Because since the beginning of the Syrian civil war, Turkey has, with the support of the United States and the other Western countries, has concentrated these jihadists near its border in order to change the regime in Syria. So the West and the Turkey, of course, belongs to that alliance. We are not talking about something different, about some different country when we say West, because Turkey or Turkey, as you say, I'm not used to say it, but Turkey is a member of NATO in the last 70 years or so, and they are acting in general lines. They are acting with the Western alliance. We don't have to, so we keep that in mind. And so it was a Western plan, Turkish plan, to use that Islamist organizations in order to change the regime in Syria and then maybe do more things in the Middle East in accordance with the interests of Turkey, Western countries, etc. So we have that pool. We have that big human, I will say, element, Islamist element, and they are coming and going to Turkey regularly. Because, you know, in Idlib, you have at 2.5 or 3 million people living. Their only point to go out, to go abroad is Turkey. It's through Turkey they are moving. And among these 3 million people, you have at least 100,000 armed jihadist militants from different spectrum, from different, a myriad of organizations. And of course, every single Islamist militant has a past within Turkey or through Turkey, etc. And Turkish security apparatus knows that, Western services know that, Russians know that, they are following it closely. Sometimes when the Turks are not careful enough, according to them, they are calling their partners in Turkey, saying that there is that people, let's say in Bayrampaşa in Istanbul, go and get them. And that's what Turkey does. And that's what the Turkish Ministry of Interior says recently. We have arrested 1,600 people related to ISIS, etc. It's true. These operations are being made with the, let's say, recommendation and cooperation of some Western agencies and even Russians. And then they say, yeah, oh, you see, we are struggling with ISIS. And but when you look at the condemnations, the prisons, the outcome of these operations, you see very, very few people really convicted for being ISIS militants, etc. There is a political, let's say, the security apparatus is making his job, but on political level, there are some obstacles, let's say, intellectual obstacles in order to continue or eradicate that movements from Turkey. That's the problem. But Russia or United States or France or Germany know that. So they are not accusing Turkey for that. They say, just be careful. Every time there is a danger, we will tell you and try to control them, because also Western people are trying to control them, not to eradicating them. Otherwise, Idlib wouldn't be there for 10 years. If United States wouldn't want an Idlib who became a Peshawar. And what is Peshawar? Maybe some of your followers would know the Peshawar syndrome. It comes from the first Afghan war, the Soviet intervention. When a Muslim country tries to control, enroll, and use a Islamist organization, a jihadist organization, very long time, with the time, these organizations are infiltrating the security apparatus of these countries. So when you think that you are using these organizations, but sometimes these organizations are using some of the members of your organizations. So this is the truth as far as the Pakistan is concerned, for example, and Pakistan is still struggling with that. And that what we say in Turkey is Turkey should be very careful, because these are Muslim guys, very radical Muslim guys. We know that we don't have such radical Muslims in security apparatus, but in any case, when they manage to convince one policeman or one security agent to just look the other way when they do something, I'm not saying cooperating, then it has disastrous effects. The main example for that is that assault on the church, for example. Turkey should very carefully investigate this church attack, because you know that in every church in Istanbul, there is a security agent from the police department on duty in order to secure the area, etc. And on that day in Sarıyer, the man in charge just stayed home, saying that I had a headache or something. And so the policeman was not here when the assault was carried out. And you should look very carefully why because it's not normal when you are military, policeman, even diplomat for us. Every state agent should go to his work when there is, so it's normal. And when there is such problems, and that's why everything looks back in Turkey saying that you can have some problems if you don't control these elements very closely. But if your security apparatus, let's say, concentrates only dealing with the, let's say, ethnicists or separatists or communists, etc. So you don't let these guys operate so freely, because at the end of the day, it will cause you harm and trouble. And that's what we are seeing. So as far as the Turkish diplomatic relations with Russia is concerned, your question, the part of your question, I don't think that it will create a big havoc or something like that, because Russia is having the relations with Turkey by knowing that Turkey is a country of the Western Alliance. It cannot be always on the same page with Russia. And that's the value of Turkey for Russia also, having Turkey as a friend, but part of another alliance. So that's why Russia is not making, let's say, angry moves against Turkey, very rarely. And they are trying to keep in a certain level the relations, because they are benefiting from that. As far as the Ukrainian war is concerned, the trade is concerned, the energy policy, etc. So they are not, let's say, doing, these two Tajiks passed through Turkey, so let's bomb Turkey. No, this is not the Russian approach. They are writing it down somewhere. And when there is a negotiation with Turkey on Idlib, for example, Russian says that on Idlib, these guys are coming from these organizations, or if you can, please catch them and give it to me. If you don't, I will bombard this part of the Idlib. That's what they are doing. So the Russian reaction to that would be not directly against Turkey, but against Turkish held territories in Syria, etc. Not directly against Turkey.
Well, my next question is related to that. What will be the Russia's next step? Because they started bombarding Ukraine now, especially the logistic points, and there are some claims about it, like they're preparing another kind of attack to Ukraine. Another discussion is actually that Russia will use this and become an alliance with Turkey and attack Idlib is another possibility that people are discussing. What do you think of that? What will be the next step?
Yeah, there are two parts in the question, and vast enough to talk 2 hours. But the first part is with regard to the Ukraine is that this is not the first time that Russia is bombarding the logistic lines. So from the beginning of the war, that's and that's what you do when you do a war against a country. So you cannot, if you have power enough, you cannot only struggle in the trenches and wait for the other soldier die. No, normally you aim at the logistical points in order to weaken your enemy. So I don't think that it's an additional factor, or it's a changing factor, this assault, with regard to the Russian methods of war. So I don't think so. The second thing is that, yes, people are talking about a big attack, the Russian attack against Ukrainian positions. It's possible because, at that geographical region, this is the starting from May, let's say, until August. This is the time. Time is ripe for any military operation because you have less rain, less mud, no snow, etc. So, and normally that's the reality of the world, the ugly reality of the world. That in winter you do less, in summer you do more. If you look at the war, the war, you see that Russia has more possibility to make an attack and a counter attack, etc. Yes, it's possible, but I don't think that Russia will try to make or will try to use this opportunity in order to create an all-out war until Kiev. I don't think so. Maybe there will be some position changes in the trenches, etc. Some, or like Kharkiv or something like that. But I don't think that Russia will risk more of his troops in order to gain a total victory on Kiev, because I don't think also the Western alliance will let Russia do that. It will cause more losses for Russia. Let's not forget, Russia has a very powerful army, of course, but conventionally, it's an army just good enough to protect a country of 60 million square kilometers. We are not talking about any country. So this is a huge country, and not only you can not only defend the western border and leave completely alone the extreme orient, etc. So let's not forget that conventionally, of course, Russia has armed technology, etc., but it has only a population of 140 million people. So you have a limited supply of soldiers for these huge country, and without using nuclear wars, Russia, I believe, has no capacity to, let's say, attack Europe, etc. So these are, for example, bullocks. So this is not convincing. Russia has the power good enough to win over Ukraine. It's not a discussion, but not go beyond borders, etc. I don't think that this summer we will see that kind of attack, military attack, until Kiev, etc. But I think that the Russians will do everything possible in order to convince the Western public opinions that this war is over. They don't give anything else to Ukraine. It's a waste of sources and time. Russia has won, and it will keep the eastern territories of Ukraine at hand. That's, I think, that will be the method of the Russian diplomacy. The second part, as far as the what was it? The second part, the Idlib question. And Russia has been offering this to Turkey many times, since in the last 5-6 years. Let's solve this Idlib problem, etc. But it's not so easy. Intellectually, I tend to agree with Russians because it's a big problem for Turkey and for the world to concentrate such a dangerous people in that region close to Turkey. But any military operation in that region will result in massive immigration to Turkey.
Exactly, that's what I was going to ask you.
And it will be a human tragedy. So, and I was talking about 100,000, let's say, armed men, but also near to 3 million civilian people. So, in that condensed area, how you will manage to do, it will be something like Gaza then. And it's equally condemnable, in my opinion, to kill children and women for that purpose.
And also this time, comparing the other humanitarian crisis during the war, Syria war in 2016, I think the profile will change as well, and it's a huge danger for Turkey, because in the part of Idlib, there are many people who have sympathy of jihadists as well. Wouldn't be a problem, especially security problem for Turkey.
Of course, but you will have, let's say, 2 million people, and 300,000 of them will be directly jihadist families, for example, children, women, etc. And in Turkey, we have a huge problem as far as these people are concerned. Because we had a very, let's say, significant number of immigrants in the last 10 years, and already the Turkish society fed up with that situation. So it will be very difficult decision for any Turkish government, to say yes to a joint military operation against Idlib. Maybe the only window of opportunity could be, theoretically, is to try to make a deal with Syrian regime with the help of the Russians, in order to give some guarantees to that civilian people, and to go Syria or somewhere else, etc. So this war, weaken the social base of the jihadist power. So if you give them guarantees, and it's not very feasible these days, because we have already the Gaza problem, etc. So and the status quo seems very comfortable with all countries, or at least less dangerous than any other possibility. So, but maybe Russia will force Turkey's hand to make such moves, or hopefully maybe another diplomatic try with Syrian regime, etc. Maybe, but Idlib is a big problem, and as far as Idlib stays there, we will have hundreds and thousands of these kind of terrorist attacks everywhere. So this is an aquarium, this is a pool. You can fish anything you want from there, and every fish is poisonous.
Well, we're coming to an end now, but I have one last question for you. I think that's another important matter for this situation in Russia is the US, actually, because the intelligence services of US, they urged Turkey and Russia, whether they expect a huge attack, specifically in the concert halls. They specified that as well. So why Russia didn't take it seriously on this matter, or would there be any kind of lack of information transferring in between those kind of intelligence services?
It's a very fair question, in my opinion, for the common people also, because we tend to think that intelligence agencies or security agencies of some countries, at least, are flawless and they know everything. So if they say something, you should take precautions, etc. But I have worked in the Turkish diplomatic service for 30 years, nearly, and you have in average 20 warning of that kind every month, at least. From US, from Britain, from France, from Germany, from Turkish intelligence services, they say an attack is imminent. Take all the precautions, etc., etc., and deal with your local authorities, etc. So, and the terrorist organizations know that, and on purpose, they give some clues for fake attempts of terrorist attacks, and it makes a huge pile of terrorist threats that each time security agencies have to look at, observe, investigate, etc. And after a certain time, a kind of, in French, it's lassitude, but I don't know how it's said it's in English, a kind of fatigue comes, and you take it less seriously that you should. And this is, so when you say that US agencies have warned, these warnings are made regularly. Remember, in Turkey, we had also these. And when the ex-interior minister was publicly struggling with or insulting US or Britain, saying that why you are doing such warnings, you are showing us weak, etc. And that was, but these warnings is made regularly, 20 times, 30 times a month. And you cannot blame any country saying that, you didn't listen to that, that's why it happened. And another thing is very important, that Israel, Russia, United States, England, any country in the world, there is no organization, security organization or intelligence service, etc., who is flawless. It doesn't exist. You have mistakes because there are people in there. You are trying, of course, you try to make less mistake as possible, but you are making mistakes. And this is a mistake from the Russian side. And don't forget that, I don't know whether you have visited Moscow, but I lived in Moscow. Moscow is a huge metropole, and it's not a city. It's a region, also administratively region. It's a big, very big city, and you cannot count how many concert halls or shopping malls are existing now in Moscow. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So we are not talking about Istanbul's Atatürk concert hall. So there are hundreds and hundreds, and you cannot take all the precautions when four or I think a dozen, because there are also supporting people to the terrorists, a dozen people decide to explode something or kill someone. You cannot even imagine in United States an air base have been attacked by the Islamists. Air base. So it happens. You cannot connect all these to the malfunctioning of the services, etc. Of course, services can malfunction, and so I'm not very convinced with these big plot theories and saying that they let them do or they are not good enough, etc. You cannot say that. Maybe they have already blocked hundreds of attacks like that. We don't know because it didn't happen, and one has happened.
Well, thanks very much for your information. I think it was a very enlightening conversation that we had today. Is there anything else you would like to add for this current incident?
Thank you very much. I thank you for this opportunity once again, and I hope I didn't tire your followers with my rusty English, because I didn't use it. I don't know since when, and I would be very happy to contribute on other subjects also to your YouTube channel. And I thank you very much for this endeavor also.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a really insightful conversation for me. I learned a lot from you and this different perspectives. So thank you very much. Definitely we will keep in touch and discuss other matters as well. Thanks, Mr. Solakoğlu.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
You too. Well, yes, there are too many elements to consider about this recent Russia attack. Too many dynamics to think about it, and there are many things will come up with this attack. There will be such consequences, of course, and will come from Russia. Well, 3 days to go for the local elections in Turkey, and on Sunday I will join you and report you about the results of the local elections as well. So tune in, keep following me, and please do not forget subscribe and making some comments on my video. Next week we will definitely evaluate the result of the local elections. Till then, have a lovely weekend. See you on Sunday. Bye bye.